Alrighty, guys, we're going to be covering today how you can build a mindset for success. So we're going to talk a little bit about some things like with self-talk, taking imperfect action, a few other things along the way. Bradley, mate, thank you for jumping on, my friend. How's your week been?
Pleasure. It's been a good week. Good week. Obviously, kind of blessed over here in Perth. Everything's going well. So yeah, it's been a good week over here. How about for you over where you are, mate? Your side of the world.
Mate, it's been pretty good. Like I had a bit of a moment on Wednesday morning. I was a bit over lockdown. I'd take a deep breath and, you know, listen to some Andy Frizella, David Goggins and go for a run. So that full deep breath in, deep breath out. I think it's been tough. Like obviously all the New South Wales gyms in lockdown, then Queensland, Victoria again and stuff. Like I'm very emotionally connected as you are to my clients. So when they're hurting, I'm hurting. So I've kind of been feeling this week that my whole life is in reaction. We're reacting quickly to what happens and trying to make the best decision that we can when, it's very difficult to know whether the decisions you're making are wrong or right. But all in all, really good, man. I love what I do. Just a bit chaotic at the moment, my bro.
Yeah, that's it. And it's fun. Like we're gonna take obviously a bit of a change of pace. Say normally we do Friday sales, but I've got obviously a bit of a background, qualified hypnotherapist, NLP, time up there, that kind of stuff. So do a bit with mindset. And I suppose a big thing we're seeing at the moment is, especially with people going in and out of lockdowns, it's a spike of anxiety because we're always literally waiting to be told when we're going to go into lockdown again or when we're going to be reopened. And it's that thing of it's completely out of our control. Like we can't control what's happening in regards to the lockdowns, and we just have to react the best way we can, right? And try and make it the best, not for only for ourselves, but our clients as well, who rely so heavily on us, but our staff, our families, and all these other things that go into play as well.
Yeah, mate, it's like in the fitness industry, like we have such an important job for our local communities, and we have to be there for our clients and be like really, really amazing leaders for them. And it's very, very taxing. It's especially taxing when you own your own business and you're looking after a lot of members and you're also trying to look after yourself and your family and everything's kind of in chaos. So, I think it's really good timing that we cover a little bit on mindset. Is, mate, something that's kind of popping up a bit is that self-talk. So I want to talk to you a bit about that, about, people saying, I can't grow my business in COVID, my business is fucked. I hate the government, like all that kind of stuff, right? Where they build these things up in their mind. They make everything incredibly difficult. Because if you say you can't grow your business in COVID, I'll tell you the answer, you can't. If you say you can, you can. But what are your thoughts around that internal self-talk and how powerful it is for having a really successful mindset?
I think it's massive, and I suppose the first thing people have to identify is every situation in itself is completely neutral. So if you crash a car, it can be a great thing if you've got a shit car and you can be happy you're going to get a new one, or if it's your pride and joy, it can be negative. So every situation is neutral. It's how you react to it that makes it positive or negative. And this is where the self-talk comes into play. And, looking at hypnotherapy, everyone thinks it's woo-woo. Essentially, we're telling our subconscious that we can't do something when we have negative self-talk. And if we tell ourselves something enough, we get to a point where we start to believe that. And this works both negatively and positively, because if you look at elite athletes, they only ever tell themselves, positive affirmations. I am the best in the world. And, you look at all these boxers, Anthony Mundine's a great example. Everyone calls it cockiness, but he was just so confident and that self-belief that definitely contributed to how well he was as a boxer. But it just transferred from sport to sport. And I suppose the big thing is with gym owners, when you go into that negative mindset of constantly telling yourself you can't do things, it gets to a point where it's just a struggle day in, day out to get up, be there for your members, be there for your family, be there for yourself, that it just really drains you quickly, right?
Yeah, mate, it does. And I think it's, people are very like, they probably don't focus on it a bit, on what we say to ourselves in our head in certain different moments. And there's probably a couple of gym owners watching, mate, and online trainers as well, who have a fair bit of negative self-talk at the moment, and their beliefs on what you can do in a business, what you can't do at the moment. What would your advice be to them if you're having a chat to them?
Well, the biggest thing would be, first of all, is I'd be speaking about like what sort of self-talk they're telling themselves, and finding out sort of like where that comes from and what have they done to try and obviously work through that with themselves. And a lot of time people obviously, they have the reaction because that's what's happened in the past. So they're telling them they can't grow during a lockdown because in the past they haven't grown during a lockdown. And they haven't looked at what they need to do differently this time to potentially be able to grow, for example. Or what strategy they have to put in place. Oh, my clients hated Zoom sessions last time. Well, maybe it was just you were delivering a shit Zoom session. Did you think about that? Did you think about maybe doing something different to re-engage them? So it just is the conversation around what they're doing to potentially change what they've done in the past to move forward this time.
Yeah, 100%. And like, there's moments in my life, like probably every day, every week, every month, where I have negative self-talk. And one of the things that, I'm not sure whether this is logical, but I feel like I'm a very logical person, where if I can see some proof of someone somewhere in the world doing what I want to do, then I know that it's possible. Because I don't think that anyone's any more special, any more talented or smarter than me. Not that I'm smart, special, or talented. I just know they're human beings. So sometimes what I'll do, say, on a sales example, right? If I'm like, hey, I'm just like not closing these sales, I'm not hitting it. I always think of, if Brad had my sales calls, or if Jordan Belfort had these sales calls, would they be closing? And I know the answer is yes, right? So then that gives me belief, so that then what I can do is, I know that if someone else in the world can do what I want to do, is that I'm able to change my self-talk. Because I go, I just need to be better, or be smarter, or be more tactical, or sometimes just put in more effort. And then that way I'm able to kind of essentially get rid of that negative self-talk as quickly as possible, because I know that someone else in the world is loving COVID and fucking smashing their business. Let's be honest, some people love a lockdown. They absolutely live for it because their businesses are going well across the world.
That's it. And I suppose the biggest thing is, we tell our kids, speak positive, don't let people, bully you. And when you're having this negative self-talk, essentially you're bullying yourself, right? You're telling yourself all these negative things about yourself and what you can or can't achieve. You wouldn't allow someone else to say that to you. Yep. So why do you say it to yourself? Like, if you wouldn't say this to someone else, then like, why do we allow ourselves to say it to ourselves? So it's just thinking with that mindset. It's like, okay, this may not be ideal. Like, being in lockdown is definitely not ideal, right? If you're a gym owner. You want to have, obviously, people in the facility training, but this is what we've been dealt with. How can we make the most of this situation? What can we do to, upskill, make the most of our time, keep our members happy, make sure we're staying happy and healthy, and be a good leader for our community in regards to what we're doing. Yeah,
and mate, a bit previously you mentioned affirmations. I've done a bit of study, I think it's from Brian Tracy, where you write down like 10 affirmations a day of, like, essentially it's writing your goals as if you had hit them. What are your kind of thoughts around affirmations? Do you do anything like currently within your life, and what are your beliefs around them?
I don't, and this is funny because I don't do anything that's structured. However, I have massive beliefs in what I can do, in the things that I've sort of pride myself. Well, and it's because I suppose now I've got the proof that I've done it over and over again, that it's just reinforced. But at the start, I would tell myself, Brad, you're a fucking baller. You can close like any sales you want. Any person that comes to you that you're a good fit for, you can close them. And I would definitely have that self-talk before I'd start at sales when I wasn't as good as I am now. And I still go through the day like, cool. And you and I spoke yesterday, and I was like, bro, I love this shit. I love selling memberships. I love helping people change their lives. And you're just like, bro, like, what are you on? Like, you love it. But I'm just so, like, I enjoy it. And I just keep telling myself, like, I'm great. The more people I speak to, the more people I can help, I can change their lives. So it's not anything structured. However, I do believe that, telling yourself positive affirmations if you're trying to make change is definitely something that's useful.
Yeah, and I know I have a little morning routine. It's not really affirmations, but I read my goals of what I want to hit in 3 to 5 years. And it kind of, I found like when I was younger, I would set like 1 month and 3 month goals. Now I only set like 3 or 5 year goals because I know that whatever virus or if our business shut down, it actually won't affect me hitting my 3 or 5 year goals. It's just like a 3 month period or a 6 month period. But I'm not sure if it's not really affirmations as such, but I like to listen to like success motivation stuff every day. I listen to like a lot of like Grant Cardone. When I run, I listen to like David Goggins. I've been listening to heaps of Andy Frisella. That guy's a savage. Where it's more just reinforcing those, like really taking massive action, being the person you want to be. That like helps me a lot in the mornings as well. Do you do anything like that to kind of, I guess the term maybe priming yourself as such in the morning to get you fired up?
I definitely don't prime myself in the morning. It's not something that I've looked much into. However, I am very protective of who I spend my time with and who I listen to in general. So yep. I don't actively go on and look for people and podcasts to look at and look through, but I definitely protect my headspace first thing in the morning in regards to looking at my Facebook and doing things like that. We have a closed group chat. You, myself, Dan, Dylan, and Jackson are all the coaches inside the IC Killers. That for me, I'm a couple of hours behind in my time zone, so that's the first thing I generally wake up and look at in the morning, and it's usually a testimonial or something that we've put in there for us, which is great and started out a positive. And then I spend my morning around people that are going to put me in a good space. So generally you and I will flick a couple of text messages. Me and Dylan will flick some messages around. I'll speak to my coaches. But I'm putting myself around people, my top 3 to 5 people in my life that make me happy and drive me forward. Yeah. And I'm not scrolling through Facebook looking for an update from 7 News to say how many cases there are and how fucked the world is, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think, guys, with like building a really elite mindset is like who you spend your time with is massive. Like I have no time for people who tell me my goals are crazy and I can't hit them or that I won't be successful and stuff like that, regardless of whether they're family, friends, people I meet randomly. You want to make sure that the people are on, like, that's why I talk about my friends as like my family, because you're on the same journey together. To really, really protect those people who you do spend your time with, because that's really our most valuable asset. And anyone being negative about, if anyone tells you can't grow your business in COVID, run as far away as you can, because you're going to become the next person who believes that. And Brad, I want to talk to you a little bit actually about, because you've been through a couple of lockdowns, right? And at the moment, the fitness business owners who are in lockdown or maybe about to go through a lockdown, if that happens, you get in a position where you have to take imperfect action, where you're not sure if the decisions you're making are 100% the correct ones, because it happens rapidly, but action is better than no action, better than sitting on your hands. So what are your thoughts around like taking imperfect action during times of stress to get a little bit of momentum?
I think the biggest thing is be transparent. So your members, if you're a gym owner or online PT, your members and your clients understand that you've been pushed up against the wall and you've had to close your facility or you have to adapt at some stage, right? So all our communication to our clients is like, hey guys, completely aware this isn't ideal. However, this is what we're going to be doing as we go into lockdown. If things change, we'll let you know. And it's like, okay, like we're locking the doors. We're going to, pick up some equipment. Perfect. Or there's no equipment available. We're going to give you some at-home workouts. That may be what happens in the first 24 to 48 hours, but that may also change because we have to make quick actions of what we think at the time is the best thing to keep our clients happy and keep them training and getting results. Again, like our first lockdown, we ran Zoom sessions. We're not a facility that runs Zoom sessions. So we did imperfect action, realized that it's not something we'll do again, and next time we adapted it.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And I guess it's just a funny thing with that imperfect action. I think it's just better. It's like my belief, it's better to do something than to do nothing. But Brad covered like a really good point, and you might have like missed it, guys, about communication, which is absolutely massive in all circumstances. So, a couple of things. So they've got to, because you've been through a lockdown, Brad, so I'm going to get your advice. So you've been through lockdown, you've got to clearly communicate with your clients. And how did you kind of do that?
Yeah, so we've got a closed Facebook group for our members.
Yep.
And obviously a video is more personable than just a post. So we obviously did a Facebook post with a video attached to it. And literally I try to get my video up within 3 to 5 minutes of an announcement. So a lot of the time it's me pulled over on the side of the road, in Perth. Our announcement's sort of mid-afternoon. Side of the road, hey guys, like as you know, we're in lockdown as of next time. This is what we're doing moving forward. And this is the sort of plan of action. And then that will be, a quick, 2-3 minute video. What do they have to know right now in regards to what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day in regards to their training? Then after that sort of buys me some time. And then I can go and actually look in a bit deeper. Okay, cool. It's actually going to be 14 days. We can train in groups of 4. We can do this. We can do that. Figure out a bit of a game plan, then go back with any additional information if I need to.
Yep. Grows really clear communication on multiple different platforms and channels, right? So everyone understands what's going on. And the same thing with your staff, hey? Is it kind of pretty similar? I'm guessing you guys don't have a Facebook group. It's probably a private chat of some sort.
Yeah, we have a chat and a group. We have both.
Nice.
And generally I'll just message the guys or if not, just jump on a phone call with them really quickly. And be like, hey, heads up, just so you don't see it on Facebook, this is what the plan is. And the coaches and I, generally in Perth, we've been lucky. We've been able to go to work as coaches and, film content and things like that. So we'll head in the first morning, catch up. We'll film a couple of workouts. We'll write up some programs if we need to. And then, go back into lockdown.
Yep. Now, mate, with the guys, like I talk a lot, it's like kind of, I feel like mindset's like a lot of buzzword stuff like resilience and all that stuff. But, for people to really dominate at the moment, they have to be incredibly resilient. If you imagine, our businesses, they open, they close, they open, they close. We're on other people's timelines of what's happening. And I know you've gone through like COVID's like nothing, like you're one of the most resilient and mentally strong and confident people I've ever met. But what would you guys say to guys who at the moment, they feel like they've just been absolutely fucking kicked in the guts? They're probably contemplating like not running their business in a couple of months or whether they can do it over the next 12, 24 months. What advice would you give them over the next, 1 to 2 weeks to be as resilient and mentally strong as possible to turn up for their members every single day?
I think the biggest thing is obviously understanding your why. Like, why are you in the health industry? And remember, like this is a health crisis, like people being unhealthy and getting sick. So if anything, your purpose is more important now than ever in regards to promoting health. So we need to go out and, everyone's speaking about, sickness and cases and all this sort of stuff, where my belief is we should be speaking about how we can help prevent getting sick. So how you can help your members stay healthy. So I want to really focus on why did you join the industry? Like your purpose generally is to help people get fitter and healthier. And now's the time to dig your heels in and start really promoting that, because it's what we need the most in the world right now is people being healthy. Yeah,
100%. 100%. And I think, guys, a little bit on resilience, like Brad covered it, but one of the things that sometimes when I'm feeling a bit flat or there's days where, you want to give up or you're not sure why you're doing what you're doing, is remember who you're doing this for. And there's a couple of different facets. So obviously if you run a business, it's usually for yourself to earn more money, I hope, because you're running a business. And then obviously to provide for your family, but then you have so many clients and people who need you right now. And I think one of the things, especially, and I'll kind of reiterate what I said, is with resilience and knowing that you can, really achieve anything, because there's online coaches and gym owners now who are in shutdown and they are still growing their business. It's just a fact of it, whether you want to admit it or not, they're still growing and they're still thriving regardless of whether they're in lockdown or not, or they're previously in lockdown. And what you just kind of want to think about when being resilient and when you're feeling a little bit down, guys, is what's like the 1 to 2 things you can do today to get a bit of momentum back? Because that's really what a lockdown does. It kills your momentum. So I've been saying to a lot of guys in the program, they're like, Jimmy, I had all this like marketing and stuff planned. And I'm like, let's roll with it. Like, you've already got it planned. I'm like, what you're selling is just a little bit different. Instead of face-to-face sessions, it's maybe Zoom, or maybe it's on TrueCoach or Trainerize. Like, still roll with it and push through it, right? Because that's what like really, really resilient people do. They see a road, like they see a wall on their road, and they just fucking climb over it and keep going. So just keep everything on plan until you have any facts that what you actually had planned won't work. Because the only difference between online and face-to-face is that you sell to a location, or you sell to online with a little bit more accountability. You're still selling an outcome, guys, of people getting fitter, healthier, stronger, happier, whatever it might be. I don't consider there a massive difference, and there's definitely no reason why you can't grow your business in a lockdown, right? But yes, you do have to be resilient, and you have to work a little bit harder for sure. And Brad, you did really well in lockdown. You kind of, we wouldn't say the word thrive, but you really stood up as a leader during those lockdown periods. What were some of the things that you did to get momentum when you just lose it in an instant?
No, we thrived during lockdown. We absolutely thrived. We thrived during lockdown, and the only thing we did differently to the competitors was kept moving forward. So our first lockdown in Perth, the very first lockdown we had, we were allowed to train people in parks and do home workouts with clients. We were allowed up to 3 people at our house, right? The first thing I did was put a post up. If your gym is shut and you want to train, send me a DM. I literally ran workouts out of my house from like 7 in the morning till 7 at night to help people keep moving forward with their health and fitness goals, and keep working, because, again, people still need to achieve their result and want to keep doing something. So if they're in lockdown at home, they're probably going to binge eat more. They're going to be less active, all these sorts of things. They need to be doing some sort of exercise to stay active and some accountability to get them out of the house, because all our external neat exercise and things like that tends to disappear when we're in lockdown. So I took it as a time to really knuckle down, and I've got a massive purpose to help as many people as I can achieve their goals. So I looked at changing my marketing, changing what I was doing to fit with the times. So it was home workouts out of my garage, or, hiring out equipment out of my facility, literally emptied my gym, had nothing in there, and leased out equipment to people to use to keep them working towards their goal. But it's just that like a resilient mindset of, my vision is to help as many people get results as possible. What do I have to do to adapt? Because the situation is neutral. Most gyms close their doors. Hey guys, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Sorry, we can't train you. Which also left a whole nother market of people that needed something to do because they were lost. They couldn't go and walk on their treadmill and do their body pump class anymore.
Yep. Yeah. Mate, it's kind of funny because I think that times like this, it separates the weak from the strong very quickly. So, for people watching this or viewing this, every doubt that they have in their minds or that they've had, every other gym owner in their area probably has the same. And there's going to be a handful who stand the fuck up and absolutely dominate, right? And you can get the biggest share of your market if you refuse to take a backward step. Because I know, so many people are like, hey, it's lockdown, I just had a week off work. And it's like, fuck that. You just lost a week of your momentum. Every other gym owner is maybe taking it back. Maybe your competitors, they're not running Facebook ads, right, at the moment, and you can run maybe some campaigns to get some interest or to build your database, or they're not marketing organically because they refuse to, or they're not delivering like really world-class like Zoom sessions and they think that they can, do really, really well online. And when you can find out, like, I'm not sure, we're not really talking about mindset, but this is like what you believe. But if you can get that little competitive advantage on anyone in your market, you want to fucking like drive it into their throat, right? And so to get aggressive, guys, I'm very aggressive about business, and just direct, like absolutely ream it into them until they like never forget who you are and what you've done. Because these little things, guys, it can be the biggest opportunity in the world to get market share. Like it can be the biggest. Like you could, if you can close over the phone and all your competitors in the area don't have that ability, and you can get maybe 20, 30, 40 people started in a lockdown, you will look back on it and be like, this is the best thing ever. Because I was talking to a couple, obviously we got some friends in the online space, their bookings in a lockdown like double if not triple. So it's like if these guys with online programs, and we're superior to those online guys, right? We'll go toe to toe with them, us gym owners, any day of the week, baby, right? But if their bookings are increasing and they love lockdown, right? What do we need to do to adjust as like gym owners or maybe online personal trainers or bootcamp owners to really get that competitive edge? But there's really no reason why we can't grow. And guys, you can really get really like amazing market share if you go incredibly aggressively during a lockdown. I know some members have added like, thousands of people to their database with just basic like little lead magnet funnels and things like that. And Brad, just kind of the last one, you mentioned a little bit when we we're preparing about knowing their triggers. You're talking a bit about health. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that so they can stay in a really, positive state and keep moving forward?
Yeah, I think like obviously we again do a lot with business owners and gym owners particularly, but people know that they have certain triggers, and they, if they don't go outside and exercise themselves, or if they're not eating, or not getting their steps in, or hitting certain markers, that they can sort of be a bit triggered. And seasonal depression is a thing. People don't get enough sunlight, and the weather's miserable. They can sort of get a bit depressed. So it's about just identifying what things trigger you. And what things are going to frustrate you, and how do you go about, managing that yourself? So, like for example, like I'm doing a bit more work from home at the moment. Not in the gym as much. Training as many clients face to face. So I know I have to try and get out and get some sun each day, just to thaw myself out and get into a happy place. But if I don't do that, I get a bit miserable, being stuck in an office all day. So figuring out what sort of triggers you. And, it could be listening to all this negative shit on the news. Well, guess what? I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news, right?
Get rid of that bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. So what things trigger you? And again, like scrolling through Facebook, there's so much negativity on there. If that triggers you, stop scrolling through Facebook. Just identify what things, frustrate you, and move away from them and move forward to things that, motivate you, inspire you, and push you in the right direction.
Now, mate, just finally, have you read maybe any books on, mindset that I know you've done a lot of courses, anything that maybe they could, do over the weekend or the next couple of days to really try and drill things home?
Brian Tracy has got a really good book.
Tracy's legit.
Yeah, so Psycho-Cybernetics.
I don't know if he's still alive. It's a good book, hey, I've read that like 4 times.
Very good book. I don't read. I listen to audios. Which is good. And it's going to sound really, really stupid, but meditation for me is massive. And just, people can take it or leave it, but, it's been proven time and time again, just being with yourself and some nice deep breathing, some diaphragmatic breathing and relaxing can be very useful to your mental state as well as your health. So I try to meditate every day. I put it on, before I go to bed, and just do some really deep diaphragmatic breathing. I sleep really well. So there's sort of a couple of things I would recommend is, if you don't meditate, spend some time by yourself, some deep breathing just to relax, put you in a calm state. And Psycho-Cybernetics by Brian Tracy is a great book.
Good. And guys, my kind of mindset on stuff, it's all based around sport. Hey, Brad, I just love sports. So I'm I think business is just like a sport. It's very aggressive. I want to be like the NBA champion of business. So like a lot of my stuff, like I listen to a lot of Andy Frisella, MF CEO, a lot of podcasts on it. Like I like David Goggins and stuff like that. And I think mindset's a funny thing, and especially about how confident you are. So, in the mornings, I fill out this journal. It's called the High Performance Planner by Brendan Burchard. That kind of gets me going. Me and my wife do it together. And then I'll listen to some like success motivation. It'll be like maybe Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, things like that. And then with like things that you can achieve, and if you're doubting yourself and you want to be an absolute savage, I'm always looking for proof that someone else has done it. If I have 1 ounce of proof that someone else has done what I want to do, that gives me immediate belief, because I know they're not better or they're any more special or they're an alien. They're just a human like me. They know stuff that I don't know. They might work harder than I work, or, whatever it is to get them where they are. And as soon as you have that proof, guys, I'm very big, what's Tony Robbins call it, where you essentially copy everyone's actions? Do you know what it's called? Like mirroring? Is it called mirroring?
Mirroring.
I don't know.
Is where you follow someone else's actions.
Well, yeah, I think it's called mirroring, where it's essentially where it's like, hey, this is what this person's doing to be successful. You copy everything they do. Like what time they get up, like know everything about them, when they train, what type of training they're doing, what marketing they're running, what sales they're running. And that's where mentorship programs are so good, because in my first mentorship program, what I say to everyone is we went from like 27 members to 520. And all I did everything my mentor told me step by step. I didn't miss a beat. And then over a couple of years, I added some icing on the cake and improved things, but only once I had proof that I knew a better way to do it, or what he had told me hadn't worked. And I think that's where mirroring and like copying core concepts of success, when people get up, they do their journal, they meditate, or Tony Robbins does his priming stuff, whatever works. But you need to find someone and really emulate what they want to do, because if you copy them for long enough, you will get to the level that they have, even if they're in a different industry. And guys, not a big fan of like funnel hacking and all that bullshit either. This is more like what type of person they are. And I did a lot of stuff for 2 years. I was like, do you know Grant Cardone, Brad?
Yeah.
I was like his biggest disciple ever. Went to like 10x and shit. Got these jumpers like 10x, baby. Like copied like a lot of his stuff, like his training routines, his sales stuff. And how about there's some lady on a balcony and shit? You see that?
Yeah.
Fucking old Janet. How about I live in a unit block. We just moved in, and it's like full of like 80-year-olds and shit, like Janice, and like they love it. One chick's just like, she's just like, oh yeah, fuck COVID. She's like, just walk in. We're meant to wear masks. And she's like, I don't wear a mask. Like I'm old enough. I can do what I want. And she just drives over to the eastern suburbs every day, just cruising around, just like living normal life. So, but anyways, guys, with your mindset, I want you to find someone, right, that you want to emulate or mirror. I think it's a really, really good topic. Make sure, find what works for Brad and what works for me won't necessarily work for you. You have to test different stuff. And finally, guys, and we didn't cover it a bit, but whenever anything goes wrong in my life, whenever I'm stressed, whenever I'm anxious, I call Brad and I talk to him about it. I call my mentor, Charlie, and I talk to him about it. I talk to Dan Henderson about it. Because sometimes the bullshit, and Brad's laughing, so there's times I've called him, like the other week, we won't go into what happened. It was fucking 10 p.m. at night, 8 p.m. his time. He's like, mate, you need to talk. I was a bit worked up about something. But when you talk to other people, guys, and people that are really, really good at what they do, all it does is it gives you perspective. Like Brad, you gave me the other week, I won't go into it, but you gave me amazing perspective in one text message. I was like, Brad, this is how I'm feeling. I'm a bit worked up, blah, 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 blah. Right? And you need to have those mentors who give you perspective on things, because they tell you that it's going to be okay. They tell you that you're on the right path, and they tell you what you need to do the next day. And I don't think that people have enough strong mentors and people they can truly trust with their life for that advice. So hopefully you have 1 or 2 of them. You probably don't need 10, maximum probably a handful of people you can go to when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed. And they tell you when it's okay. They tell you when you're being an idiot. They tell you when you need to work harder. And their advice is just always honest. And Brad, do you have a couple of people in your life like that?
Mate, it's funny. I do. I have one of my former business partners, James Buchanan. Him and I are still super close.
Jimmy, he's a good dude. Jimmy, friendly
great
fella.
guy.
I like Jimmy.
Great guy. Obviously, yourself, and my wife. My wife's amazing. So
Jess,
she's
all
like
my bullshit.
Yeah, I just talk to her about everything, and she, again, like a lot of times she just listens, says nothing, and then she's like, "Are you done?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Cool." Like, and we just move on, right? Because I just, sometimes you have to get it off your chest, and I suppose, also like very self-aware, which is lucky that I've done enough work to realize that again, like everything's neutral. What can I do to make the most of it? So I sort of sit there, process it a bit. Yeah, of course I get worked up, and I've rang you before and said, hey, Jimmy, this isn't working right. You're like, okay, cool. What can we do to make it better? Like what things what can we control? What's in our sphere of control? What's not, right? We can't control that, ads costs are getting high. We can control the images and the copy that we use. So let's look at what we can do. Move forward. Go from there. So that's a big thing I'm at. Like, what can I do that I can control to tilt the, seesaw my way?
Let's do it. So guys, as always, feel free to ever reach out to Brad. Brad, where's the best place for them to have a chat with you?
Bedford Brad 87 on Instagram is going to be the best place.
Instagram, and then guys, you can reach out to me on any of my social media channels if you want to have a chat. Guys, I'll say this to both of us, probably from this podcast, you're either going to like Brad better or me better, right? And that's okay, that's life. Just make sure if you're struggling, if you're hurting, if you're unsure, just reach out to one of us. Brad's one of the people I trust most. He's like in my full-blown inner circle. As such, I'm like really good friends. So I trust him with some of the most crazy private stuff ever. I trust him with the world. So you can reach out to him. He's always going to give you honest advice, and he's been there in the trenches. And obviously, guys, if you ever want to chat to me, I just want to be there as your friend, to make sure that I point you in the right direction and probably give you a little bit of perspective of the situation and what's possible. Just don't go through this lockdown or any hardship alone, right? You've got a good support network. You've just got to make sure you utilize them. Brad, mate, thank you so much.
Before we go, is this not our 100th episode or close to our 100th episode?
Oh, it is. It is our 100th episode.
So we forgot. We were speaking about it yesterday.
I know. Crazy.
And
we
have
fucking
some great
move
news.
quick. Some days we're doing 2 a day now, bro. It's just like, I love people who they're like, I have a few enemies in the podcasting world, fitness. They're my friends, but they've done like 400 episodes. I'm like, we're gonna pop out 2 a day, baby. We'll trump you in like 6 months.
We're coming. So, guys, if you've made it this far on the podcast for today, show Jimmy some love. 100 episodes is good. A lot of people give up, right? So, congratulations, Jimmy, and we're just getting started. So,
we still have stuff to talk about, which is pretty. I guess because we have so many clients, you just get like heaps of cool stuff. I just kind of answer their questions on there. But guys, how many podcasts do you want? What's our commitment, Brad? How many are we going to do together?
How many?
Yeah, what's our goal? 1,000? 2,000?
At least 1,000.
1,000?
Yeah.
Right. We might do we'll do a special giveaway. We'll chat after. Guys, Brad's going to do a cool giveaway in the episodes for the next month. We'll figure out something tasty. We'll give away our listeners. Okay.
Awesome.
And let's do a special 100th episode. We'll do like the 107th. So we'll see.
And we can launch our new design and stuff, our new logos and all the new stuff. We can launch it all.
We got a new design, guys. We're building this funny little community of all our friends. So it'll be Brad, myself, a few other people get involved. Podcast. You got a couple of cool guests coming up as well, Brad, which is nice. We do.
We won't not going to release too much, but we'll a couple of cool ones around marketing and sales, and some one-on-one PT owners that are absolutely crushing it. We're going to have on over the next 2 weeks.
I love it. We'll see how quick we can get to 1,000. We'll just go from one podcast a day to 2 a day. Imagine that.
Crush it.
Gnarly. Bye, guys.
Awesome, guys. Enjoy.